Listen, if we even think you owe us money, you won't know what hit you. We'll put liens on everything you own. Raid your bank accounts, retirement fund, pension. You'll open up your paycheck and cry because we'll already have the money. We'll haul you into federal court and you might even go to jail. Hey, it's our job.
Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. Our experts will fight for you using IRS guidelines to stop any IRS actions like bank levies or wage garnishments. Plus, eliminate penalties and interest and reduce your past tax bill so you pay the IRS less. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a tax doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
I'd have my mom call the number on the screen. You come see me alone. We'll work it out. Really, we will.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, we get you printed, distributed, and sold on Amazon, Apple iTunes, and in bookstores across the country. We'll even help you promote your book. That's right, we do all this for you. Biography, self-help, mystery, novels, sci-fi, even a children's book. No matter what genre, Page Publishing can bring your book to life. Call today for your free author submission kit and find out how you can be the next published author at Page Publishing.
Call for your free author submission kit at 855-993-2114. That's 855-993-2114.
Hello, everybody. Mark Schaftlein with you, and this is the Schaftlein Report. It's Thursday's edition. We're broadcasting from beautiful Delray Beach, Florida, and I'd like to welcome back from Long Island, Mr. Lid Blog himself, Jeffrey Dunetz. Happy to have you as my guest today.
Great to be here.
Hey, Jeffrey, listen, this the border issue, Biden's trying to blame Trump. The American people are having none of that. They seem to think that they can lie to the American people and get away with it. Jeffrey, I don't see that happening. This has been a colossal blunder. I always knew there were radical left-wingers that didn't really understand the American people in that White House advising Biden. They actually came out and said, well, what we're actually going to do, amazingly, we're going to reduce deportations and reduce detention. And that went over like a lead balloon with a lot of people. So now, irony of ironies, after Republicans said for the last few months, he doesn't need a bill. He's got authority already to close that border. Now they're sort of throwing the bone out there. Well, maybe we need to do executive action at the border. Jeffrey, what do you make of all this? It seems like a complete fiasco to me.
I think the Republicans are taking the wrong approach. I would like to see them. They're saying, well, look what he did from the day he started to the day now. No, look what he did when Trump was president versus the day now. And it's even a bigger difference. And they don't say that. They have the wrong action in mind, and it depresses their numbers.
Well, let me ask you this. The border issue seems to be among most voters right up there at the top with the economy. Yep. We really have a dichotomy going on here. We've got an unemployment rate at 3.7%. A lot of jobs are being created, but as Dave Bratt and I talked about the other day, a lot of them are part-time jobs. And a lot of people are working 2 to 3 jobs to get by. It would be impossible for Biden to be that far upside down on an economy that's supposedly doing this well. But when you fuel an economy based upon a debt-laden society, things like this happen. But getting back to the border for a minute, Jeffrey, this thing just totally collapsed because it was a bad bill. And I've seen talking heads come on different shows and talk about, the Republicans this, Republicans that. That would have been a disaster to sign that bill or to vote for it. And I'm frankly glad they did not, because who in the right mind could sign off on a bill that allowed 5,000 illegals a day to come in the country? That's ridiculous, among other things.
Yep. The problem is that the Republicans aren't exposing the bill like you just did. They just said it was a lousy bill, and they didn't tell us why it was a lousy bill unless we read it. And that's the problem. And that doesn't work for the American people. They want to know why. And the why is it will sell it. But they're not doing that. They don't like to explain why they're upset with something. You're right. 5,000 a day. Right now it's what, 8,000 a day or 10,000 a day? So how does that happen or help us? So it's 80,000 every 10 days and 24,000 each month.
Well,
so
again, Donald Trump, assuming he's the presumptive nominee, Donald Trump's going to be able to go out there and say, hey, when I was president, we had slowed illegal immigration significantly. It's about 75% less than what we've experienced under Joe Biden.
And no one's saying that.
The state of Texas had the right idea. Put that razor wire up. That literally put a stop to it around Eagle Pass. Now, I'm not saying you do that across the whole border. There's different ways that may be effective. But the point is, the state of Texas was somewhat effective in their efforts, despite the federal government trying to, inflict pain on the state of Texas. But Jeffrey, again, the blame on this is going right to Joe Biden, which is where it should be, because he effectively loosened up, got rid of all the Trump rules that at least had gotten this thing under a manageable situation, albeit they didn't finish building a wall, and that didn't turn out great. But through Trump's actions, remain in Mexico, other policies done under the COVID situation, those could have been extended. So when I hear Democrats saying, oh, we don't have the authority, you watch. This issue is going to get so bad. And it's really bad when all these blue cities that are full of Democrats are, complaining about having to spend money and things like Eric Adams is doing up in New York City, $53 million for cell phones. I mean, you know what? They ought to just call these blue city mayors the mayor of the illegal immigrants, because they're not doing a damn thing for their citizens, Jeffrey.
I get the feeling every time that Biden speaks and blames it on Trump, you want to say, oh, really? You're an idiot, and you expect us to believe you. The problem is, he is an idiot, but he's not writing the script. He's got smart.
It's really bad. I mean, those people in the White House staff are calling all the shots. You and I both know he's not capable of it. But I'm going to go to one thing here. I want to talk about some numbers that have come out in the last day or two. And it's really shocking. And they don't seem to get it in the White House, which is fine with me. But on the border, Trump's up 35 points on Biden. On the economy, he's up 22 points. On crime, Trump's up a little over 20 points. I mean, literally on issues that are important to most Americans, Trump is swamping Biden. Now, there's two areas that Biden's ahead on. Abortion, he's got like a plus 12 on that. And the treatment of illegal immigrants, he's up by a couple points, very small margin on that. But Jeffrey, on those key issues, the Democratic Party is on the wrong side of the issue with the American public. And I've got to believe, I think these poll numbers are accurate. Most of them show Donald Trump comfortably leading by 5-6 points. Now, again, this is way out. It can tighten. There's court cases, etc. But, right now, the Trump campaign's got to be feeling pretty damn good about their position. Well, what do you think about those numbers, Jeffrey?
Well, it's interesting because the Wall Street Journal had a story a couple of days ago that said that the reason why the numbers are up, it has nothing to do with the numbers are up. They were if you had a 10-pack of Oreos that cost $2, they take a 8 package of Oreos and charge it $2. So they're not raising the price, but they're lowering the volume. So what they're doing is basically they're making the volume look the same, but the prices go up. So that's a problem. The funny thing is they also posted something that what you call it? It is helping the economy. What's her name? Taylor Swift.
Oh God! Don't get me started.
It has. Well, she's going to Super Bowl, and you think she's playing in it.
Well, look, the bottom line is this: she can do whatever she wants, endorse Biden. That's not going to swing many voters. But at the end of the day, another point where Trump was way ahead of Biden is on mental and physical capability. I mean, he's up 23 points on him. I'm shocked he's not up 50 on him. I mean, Joe Biden just has cognitive issues. I mean, Jeffrey, in the past couple of weeks, 2 times he's referred to seeing deceased leaders of Europe at G7 meetings. I mean, this pattern happens over and over again, and it's really an embarrassment to the country to have a guy like this, at the helm. But that's what's happening. And I'll share another thing where the Democratic Party's upside down right now: support for Israel. 80% of the American public. It's hard to believe you can get 80% on one deal. 80% of Americans support Israel. The radical left of the Democratic Party supports Palestine and the Palestinians. Jeffrey, you've got a lot of skin in the game on this one. Give me your thoughts on those numbers, because the American people seem to be standing with Israel.
It's the radical left that is favor of Palestinians, and they were quiet when Biden was going to Israel all the time and supporting Israel. And they, behind the scenes, were telling Biden, you got to stop this. You got to stop this. And it being close to the 24 election, he said, oh, I got to stop this. And then he sends Blinken there and says, you're not doing anything to stop the civilian deaths. And really, what Israel does is they start by sending empty bombs, so people know the real bombs are coming. They call it knocking, and then they come back with real bombs. But the Palestinian leaders say, "Stop that! Don't leave." And the Palestinians do more and more bombs into Israel, missiles, and they have those. They have the missiles, and they have what do you call it?
Artillery?
Yeah, that they send over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, go ahead.
It's not that it's new. When Yitzhak Rabin, who was the prime minister right after the move to give the Palestinians Gaza, he was about to take away Gaza from them, because he said it became a feeding ground for militants, terrorists, and no one else believed him, so no one did it.
Well,
but that's
I tell you,
it's a breeding ground for terrorists.
Well, the bottom line to it is this: Israel's continued to prosecute that war, despite what Blinken's been over there, a dozen times begging Netanyahu and the Israeli government to stop. They're not going to stop. They made it crystal clear what they did after the attacks. They're working to try to get their hostages back. I've seen ideas floated that, Sinwar may get exile in exchange for hostages. Hopefully so. I mean, that'd be a good trade for the Israelis. But the bottom line is this, Jeffrey: the Israelis have the American support, And the radical left can support the Palestinians all they want, and it's not going to change things. And I'll tell you, for our audience views, and this again comes from not your favorite source, CNN, but they do have pretty reliable polling over there. Only 34% of Americans in the latest CNN poll feel Joe Biden deserves re-election. Folks, that is an incredibly low number. And I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of people that's still not sure he's going to be the nominee. We're not in that camp. You know, he's the only one running. He's getting delegates. But I'm going to tell you something. This race, subject to what could happen in courts, is barreling towards a Donald Trump presidency. Speaking of that, we're going to take a 60-second break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Supreme Court, the analysis of today, and get into a couple other hot-button issues. See you in 1 minute.
When I grow up, I want to work for a woke company, like super woke.
When I grow up,
I want to be hired based on what I look like,
rather than my skills.
I want to be judged
by my political beliefs. I want to get promoted
based on my chromosomes. When I grow up,
I want to be offended
by my coworkers
and walk around the office
on eggshells
and have my words policed
by HR. Words like
grandfather,
peanut gallery,
long time no see,
no can do.
When I grow up,
I want to be obsessed with emotional safety and do workplace sensitivity training all day long.
When I grow up, I want to climb the corporate ladder
just by following the crowd.
I want to be a conformist.
I want to weaponize my pronouns. What are pronouns?
It's time to grow up and get back to work. Introducing the #1 woke-free job board in America, redballoon.work.
Love our sponsor, Red Balloon, best commercial on television and streaming. All right, listen, folks, we're back. Today, oral arguments were heard in the Colorado case against Trump to try to keep him off the ballot. Many constitutional scholars who are not necessarily Republican or Democrat have said Colorado really should not be able to do this. Jeffrey, based upon, again, I'm not a legal analyst. I've never practiced a case before the Supreme Court. However, based upon the Q&A, questions and answers back and forth with the solicitors from Colorado and Trump's defense team, it looks to me like we could be headed for an 8-1 or 9-0 vote, throwing this Colorado case out. What are your thoughts on what you heard today relative to the Colorado argument?
I think it was fun because they were really attacking, what's his name, Murray, the Biden representative, and they were asking like very pointed questions. Even Sotomayor was asking very pointed questions. I would have hated to be that lawyer at that time. Even Roberts, he's usually under the desk shaking. He even asked pretty solid questions. And the answers weren't there. And I think that they're going to go for. I agree with you. They're going to go for killing the Colorado position. I don't know if it's going to be 8-2. I mean 8-1 or 9-2 or 7-2. But I think they're going to go. I'm not sure if it's going to be that much. I hope so. But,
well, I personally think it's going to be a 9-0 vote. I mean, this is one of the weakest cases I've ever seen. Think about what they're trying to do. Judges in Colorado to take a presidential candidate off a ballot instead of citizens. I mean, I think it's going to be a 9-0 vote. Now, then the next case that would come up would be the immunity case, but that's going to be a little while before we get an answer on that. But the point is this, Jeffrey. Allow the people to vote, okay? I mean, Trump hasn't been convicted of anything in any court, and for this Colorado court and other blue states to step in and try to strip the man of his opportunity to run for president when he's been president and he's perfectly qualified. I mean, it just rings hollow, and I'm glad the line of questioning seemed to go that way. But again, you actually never know until they actually, take that vote. But I concur with you. Yeah, you had another point to make, Jeffrey?
Oh, more than the Trump having the opportunity to run is the voters have miss the opportunity to vote for Trump. He's taking away their voting rights. And that's not good.
Yes. Well, and a couple other things, I want to go back to certain things on the economy. We were talking about those statistics, but here's a really interesting one. Among African Americans and Hispanic voters, Biden is bleeding support. And you've maybe seen anecdotal interviews like I have where people are saying, hey, under Trump, I had money. Now I don't. And there's a perception, even in these blue cities, that illegal immigrants are getting all the goodies and the residents of the cities are not. So again, things change in presidential politics. The race is not over. It's still in a very, very early stages. But the reason these numbers are so bad on Joe Biden is these policies are so bad. And as far as I'm concerned, what's the definition of insanity? Keep doing the same old thing over and over. Let them continue to do it. We'll have a blowout this fall. So, I remain optimistic that's going to happen.
Before this happened, somebody said, if he gets 15% of the minority vote, he's going to win. And it looks like he's going to get like 25% of the minority vote or even more. So I think that's a big plus for him.
Well, of course it is.
And unlike people, previous Republicans, he's actually going into minority areas to crime, to try to get their votes. And
well, listen, you have to ask people for their vote. I mean, I think that's perfectly legitimate. Now, I heard the former president interviewed today, when he came out of Mar-a-Lago, 20 minutes north of Delray Beach, by the way, and the president was very forceful in his positions. I mean, can you comprehend Joe Biden be able to step out and put two sentences together?
No.
Like Donald Trump does? No, I can't, because he doesn't seem to have the capability of it. They even invited him, second year in a row, they've invited him to give a talk at the Super Bowl. He's declined. Why? I mean, because he didn't even want softball questions. So I don't know, Jeffrey. I think between the economic issues facing the country, his cognitive decline, the border fiasco, is he going to get some votes? Sure. Hardcore radical environmental wackos, far left-wing radicals, environmental people. He's going to get some of the, as Rush used to call them, the feminazis on the abortion issue. You'll get some of those, some of the teachers' unions. The Democrats have their base voters, but you know what? All it's going to take is peeling off certain numbers of them, and Donald Trump will have a good shot. Let's stick with one other thing. I want to ask you this. Nikki Haley seems to be really on the short end of the stick right now. She's continuing to fight. She's got some big donors. Jeffrey, what do you make of the fact that, she didn't do that great in Nevada, lost, she won the primary with 33%, but 66% say they won somebody else. What do you make of the Haley candidacy right now? The next big contest coming up is South Carolina. Trump appears to have a huge lead. Jeffrey, to be blunt, is Nikki Haley staying in the race in the event something happens to Trump? Is that why she's doing it?
I'm thinking of a baseball umpire going, "You're out of here." But no, I don't know if she will. I think that she's trying to show that she's a winner, or that she's able to keep doing something even though she's losing. Otherwise she would have quit a long time ago.
Well, the interesting thing about it is this, and this is how I'm handicapping this race right now. We can talk all we want about a two-person race. It's not a two-person race. Folks, we got 5 people affirmed running for president. We've talked about it on this show a lot. In a 5-way race, Trump's beating Biden by 5 points. Robert Kennedy is getting anywhere from 14 to 16, 17%, and that figure's been steadily moving up. Jill Stein and Cornel West are getting 2% each. That 2% each, 4%, that's coming right out of Joe Biden's hind end, because Kennedy's is probably equal 50-50. They're splitting between Trump and Biden. However, in that 5-way race, Donald Trump is leading by 5 points, and he's up in all 7 swing states. So, Jeffrey, the mainstream media can talk all they want about a Trump-Biden race, but it's really 5 people in it, and possibly another, if no labels, ends up fielding a candidate. So that's sort of the state of the race right now, folks. Jeffrey, we got about 4 minutes left. I want to talk about what the U.S. did, where they actually have been telegraphing to Iran every time they were going to drop bombs, but this time they didn't. They took out an Iranian commander, the person obviously allegedly responsible for a lot of this stuff happening. I mean, is the U.S. finally acknowledging that they've got to take further action, or is this just a one-off? Because it looks to me like Biden, he's already having major problems in Michigan with Muslim voters. It doesn't look to me like he wants to expand any type of conflict with Iran over the fact that he would lose more Muslim support in this country. I know I'm being highly cynical here, but I really believe that. I believe part of the fact that he's basically playing Iran with kid gloves versus Trump, who basically hit him with a sledgehammer, is because of votes in Michigan. Jeffrey, am I being too cynical, or am I going down the right path?
The way you go after Iran and other Gulf states is to beat them up. Okay, if you're not strong, they'll come right after you. And and Biden's showing that he's not strong, but he had to do that for the election. Okay, but he still won't get the Muslim vote because they're not stupid. They see that prices have increased, and other people are moving out because prices have increased so much. And I think he's in trouble there. And plus,
there's no question Biden's in trouble. I mean, think about this. And you were talking about the economy. I mean, prices are not going down. I mean, there's a lot of people, I don't care whether you're Muslim, whether you're white, black, whatever your nationality is, it doesn't matter. You're affected by inflation, Jeffrey. And a lot of people were hoping, well, maybe prices will come down to where they were pre-pandemic. That's not happening, and it's not going to happen. We had a general price rise. We had 9% inflation, 5%. Now we're hovering around 3%. But that's 3% at an elevated level. And Dave Brett and I talked about this the other day on the show. So, Jeffrey, this inflation thing is a big deal. People's pocketbooks, they're feeling it. And, again, things can change, folks. But right now, this administration, all their priorities seem to be wrong. And in my view, they're getting what they deserve. I do want to bring up, we got about a minute left, Jeffrey. We do want to pass along our condolences to the 5 Marines that were killed in that helicopter crash, in the snowy mountains of Southern California. Apparently, bad weather may have led to it. They're still investigating it, but boy, our hearts really go out to the families of those 5 Marines who are, dedicated Marines based out of Southern California, the Vegas area. So, Jeffrey, 30 seconds left. Close it out for us with your thoughts about, where we are right now as a country and where things are going heading into tumultuous spring.
I think we're in trouble. We're showing weakness. China is screwing us in terms of economy, even though their economy isn't that great now. We're working on Russia. And we're not doing anything with Russia. Putin's going, nah. Okay. Israel isn't listening to him, and they're never going to listen to him. And if you remember, in their last one, France told them to stop, and they stopped. They're not stopping now.
Jeffrey, thanks for joining me today. We're out of time, folks. Be back on Tuesday, back at the studio in Southern California. Have a great weekend. See you on Tuesday, folks.